Hello everyone, I am Brett, aka The Connecticut Gamer, and today I'd like to take a look at part 2 of my 20 favorite video games. So like I said in the first part, these are not the best games of all time, these are not the most popular games, they are not the cheapest games, they are not the most expensive games, they are games that I personally like. So we ended off last time with a really great JRPG being Chrono Trigger. And we're going to start up this week with a, in my opinion, slightly underrated, but it really shouldn't be, JRPG, Final Fantasy IX. So a lot of you might have thought, oh, why didn't you include Final Fantasy VII? That would have been great. Yada yada, so on and so forth. I have two reasons for that. First one is I don't own it. I don't own Final Fantasy VII or 8. And so it wouldn't make sense to include a game that I don't own. That's the first half. And then the second half is, personally, I've played 7 at a friend's house, and I just straight up prefer 9. I think it's a better game. It's definitely a more modern feeling game in my opinion. And it just all around is an amazing PS1 game. It's actually the only PS1 game I have on this list. However, I knew if one game deserved to hold that spot, it'd be Final Fantasy IX. So, I have 2 more Japanese games to talk about. And both of these I got for same reasons I mentioned with some of the other ones being price. So the first one, and the other Zelda game on this list, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, or as it's known in Japan, Talked of Wind. And this game, when it got announced and a smidge after release, it was kind of like, oh, that's Zelda going away from where Zelda was, it isn't the same, it's not good, and then people played it, and I was like, oh, it's really good. And yes it is. And I got this game for $30, I want to say. It was either like 30 or 31. But a US copy would have been closer to 80. And this was, actually got it as part of my Christmas present along with a couple of other Japanese GameCube games and my Spice Orange GameCube. And so I figured, oh, well, it's only right that I get the Japanese copy. And then I was like, oh, that's a little expensive. Maybe the North American ones are about the same. If so, I'll just get that. That'll be easier because I'll actually be able to read it. And I looked and no, they were not cheaper. And Google Translate is a wonderful thing. And I just use that. And I can make out what the game says. It's not perfect by any means. But in my opinion, it was worth it for spending half the money on it. The next game I'd like to talk about, and another one that's a definitely a classic. Actually, a lot of people, it's considered by far the best game in the franchise. Super Smash Bros. Melee. Or Super Smash Bros. DX, which is what it's called in Japan, but it's Melee. And I got this game for the exact same reason as the other ones. I'd actually initially looked at North American copies, and they were like $70, $80 for a beat up, bad case, no manual, just the case and disc, and the case was in terrible condition. Melee. And I got this for 27 or 28, I want to say. It's like, okay, it's more than reasonable, you know? And I get it. And I thought it would be mostly in English because I have the original Smash Brothers. It's actually this one. Yeah, I have it right here. I have the Japanese copy. And this one's almost all in English. And so I'm like, okay, well, this one will probably be the same. And it's not. It's all in Japanese. I'm like, dang. And then I look, and there is an English language option. It's one of the only GameCube games that came out in Japan with a full English option. And so I was amazed by that. It was great. And I just love the game. I love how fast paced it is. I love just everything about it. It's just such a good game. And it definitely helps that I paid a lot less for a Japanese copy than I would have otherwise. So after that, I have one more GameCube game to talk about. And I was stuck between this and Sunshine, Super Mario Sunshine. Because I own both, and they're both great games. And so you're thinking, oh, is it Luigi's Mansion? No, it's not. It's Double Dash. And when I got Double Dash, I got it with the first GameCube I owned for $20. So it was a system with like 5 games, and that was one of them. And the system, all the wires, 5 games, 2 controllers for like $20. And it was amazing. And 2 of the games being Super Mario Sunshine, and there was some sports game included with it. They both didn't really work right, and the GameCube was in terrible condition. I ended up selling it. Well, I actually gave it away later on, but thankfully I kept this because I had a Wii. I still do. And you can play GameCube games on the Wii, and that's how I played it. And then I went to go look recently because I'm like, oh, you know, because my dad was like, hey, I'd like a copy of that. I'm like, okay, because he has a Wii. And they're like $50, $60. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not blowing that for a gift. I'm sorry, Dad, but no thanks. So I'd like to talk about the only game that I have for a system that's still being produced. Which actually isn't anymore, but they still make games for it. And that is Fallout 4. It's also my only sealed game. And I paid $15 for it. Because I bought it a couple months ago. So I bought it brand new, but used, if that makes sense. Because I got it secondhand, but it's still brand new sealed. So, yeah. And so, but I already own it digitally on the Xbox, and I have all the DLC for it that's included with the Game of the Year. And so I have no point in using the disc. And so I figured, hey, if we're going to sell it in the future, it's the copy to get, Game of the Year. So, might as well have it be sealed. In my next game, guys actually probably won't be able to tell what it is just by looking at the case, because I have the case reversed. Because these are on both sides. If you can't tell what it is, let me reverse the case, you guys can actually see it. It's Borderlands 2. I mean, yes, I know I did a terrible job putting it in the case, but for taking about 5 seconds, it was the best it could have been. And, I own it on the Xbox One, and I play it on the Xbox One, not 360. But I don't have the Xbox One copy physically. It's a digital copy, as with a lot of my games on that are actually. And so it was just easier to use the 360 copy. and just let people know that I own it on the Xbox One with all the DLCs, level 80, level cap with OP10, not 72 with OP8 cap. And it's an amazing game. I love it. It is. It's a good game. I like to do an oddball one, which I know my father will not be happy about because he tried this game. He couldn't get it. Said it was a terrible game. He didn't like it. But I think it's an amazing game. And I got it for a steal because of how I got it. And that is Beautiful Katamari. So obviously, people probably know they made Katamari Damacy for the PS2. And I have no clue about the PS3, what they did for that. And obviously made Katamari Damacy Reroll for the PS4 and Xbox One. But only on the Xbox One they had Beautiful Katamari. And it is a great game. And I paid about $20 for it, whereas normal market on them is about $50, $60. And that is because they had the original artwork. They had the game in great condition, but they didn't have the manual or the case. I'm assuming the case got destroyed. It's the only way I could see them having the original art and not the case. But so I just took an old EA Sports game, dollar bin, didn't work. Swapped it over. I still have to take the sticker off. I'm actually going to re-switch it because I later found out the case is cracked on the bottom, but I still paid next to nothing for it. It's still an amazing game, do not get me wrong. So, the last 360 game I have to talk about. And also, another one that I definitely spent a lot of my childhood playing. And by a lot, I mean like a lot of my childhood. Portal 2. Now, obviously, the original Portal is fun. The original Portal is great. I think Portal 2 is a better story. It's a lot more of a story-driven game. And all in all, I just love it. I love the game. I really do. I put too much time into it as a kid. I mean, we're talking hours in the triple digits level of too much time put into this game. Matter of fact, when I met my stepdad when I was 6, I believe, yeah, 6. I said, hey, do you want to play some video games? He goes, sure. This is the game we played for about an hour. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good game. I have 3 games left, and I have 2 that I'd like to discuss first. So for the same system, then I have 1 final one. And so the first one I'd like to discuss is for the original Xbox, and that is Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. I got this game from my father when I was maybe 8. Had it ever since. I love it. It's a great game. It doesn't play like any of the other Oddworld games, and I have 2 of them. I don't know if you guys can see them, but I have 2 of them for the original PlayStation. I have 1 for the Game Boy. I have quite a few of the other ones. And those are all 2D platformers. This is a 3D first-person shooter. But it is such a fun game, such a good game. Yeah, I just couldn't not pick it. And so now the other OG Xbox game, and I have quite a few to pick from. Could have picked Need for Speed Underground 2. I could have picked the original Halo. I could have... There are quite a few games I could have picked. But the one that I did pick, and I'm glad it's the one that I picked, trust me. Halo 2. It's like everything about the original Halo, just on steroids, and better, and more fun. and I just love it to death. It's the third Halo game I played, because I played Halo 1 ODST on the 360 when I was like, I don't know, probably 7 with my uncle. And then I got Halo Reach when I was maybe 11 at a flea market for 75 cents. Because I had $1, or I had 75 cents and the guy wanted $1 for it, and I said, can I have 75 cents? He said, sure. And I love the game. And then I got this shortly thereafter, and it's a good game. And so, the final game I'd like to talk about, and what just might be my favorite game of all time. And if not, it is surely my favorite Grand Theft Auto of all time, because, well, it just is. San Andreas. Now, I got this copy relatively recently. I had one when I was younger, when I first got my PS2, when I was probably 9. My mom found it, and she promptly hid it from me, and then we moved, and she left it at the old house. So, that game's lost to time. I don't know who has it now. I don't know what they did with it. They might have just thrown it out. I don't even know. But I have a copy now, and that's all that matters. But my preferred way to play it is definitely on the PC, because I think the game looks a smidge better. It's a little bit more pixelated. Well, not pixelated, but it's a little more blocky, but it's okay. It's a sharper image. It kind of just happens, you know. And all of the cheats, which I use a lot of cheats in this game, trust you and me, because it's fun to screw around in GTA. It is. They're on the keyboard. So like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, for example, that makes cars fly. Or a full clip gives you infinite ammo. And so the cheats are really easy to remember. Instead of, I remember one for the PS2 version. It was like square, R2, L1, cube, up on the D-pad, circle, L1. You know. The PS2 version is great, do not get me wrong. The PS2 version is a lot of people's preferred way to play even. But I still think the PC version is better for it personally. However, with all that being said, those are 20 of my favorite games amongst 2 parts. So if you guys haven't seen part 1, please go check it out. There I cover a lot more classic games than my handheld stuff. And this video is a lot more newer stuff. But with that out of the way, you guys take care, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.